What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the Holden Gaming channel, your place for Star Wars gaming and more. Today's video I'm going to be ranking all of the Star Wars films. I thought this would be a fun little video to mix up the content a little bit. Tomorrow's video is going to be a 164 Palpatine kill streak. My highest kill streak ever, so make sure to watch out for that. But anyway, let's just get right into the video. As you can see, I've got some gameplay going over it, just so y'all aren't too bored and have something to look at. But yeah, let's get right into it. So at number 11, of course, there are 11 Star Wars films, because you have the 3 trilogies, that's 9, and then the 2 standalone films, Rogue One and Solo. So starting at number 11, we have The Last Jedi. This isn't really a surprise, probably, for a lot of you. A lot of people did not like The Last Jedi. The biggest thing I didn't like about The Last Jedi was their portrayal of Luke Skywalker. I thought they really didn't do his character justice. Like, Luke is always this character who's always, trying to turn people to the light, never resorting to violence. He just wants to turn them to the light, and that's his, like he did with Vader. And in The Last Jedi, he kind of sees what Kylo will become, and instead of trying to, what his character would do, and trying to turn him back to the light through, patience and training and stuff like that, he just, tries to murder him, which doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that Luke Skywalker, that his character would do that, and I had a big problem with the way they portrayed him. Plus, the movie had just some other flaws that made it a not very good film. So that is why I placed The Last Jedi in last place at number 11. Plus, to be honest, I don't really care for the sequels in general. I just didn't care for the story, didn't care for it a lot. So, yeah. Coming in at number 10, we have, what did I put? We have Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones, the biggest problem for me is the film is way too slow. Believe me, the Battle of Geonosis is super cool. I love that part. One of my favorite scenes. But really, up to that point, the movie is just far too slow. The whole thing with Anakin and Padme, they just take way too long to develop it. I'm not gonna lie, there are parts of Attack of the Clones where I about fall asleep. It just is that boring. So that's really my main reason I put Attack of the Clones at number 10. It's just not a great film, in all honesty. The dialogue is not very good. As we know, George Lucas isn't the best in that scenario. A great storyteller, but he definitely needed to have someone else do the dialogue. Just the beginning of the movie until it gets to Geonosis is just far too slow and far too boring. Which isn't the case for a lot of Star Wars films, but for this one it definitely is. So that's why I put Attack of the Clones at number 10. All right, coming in at number 9, we have The Rise of Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker was definitely a better film than The Last Jedi, for sure. I did enjoy it, for sure. Like I said, there are no Star Wars movies I hate. Even The Last Jedi, I can sit down and enjoy watching it. I love Star Wars, and, I have a ton of fun watching all of these films. And I definitely had a ton of fun in theaters going to see The Rise of Skywalker. I just didn't care for the whole thing with Palpatine. It kind of ruins the storyline, for Palpatine to come back. I feel like that was kind of lazy, just to bring back Palpatine. I feel like they should have done something different, for sure. Because my biggest problem is, my favorite character in all of Star Wars is Anakin. And it kind of ruins Anakin's storyline that he's the chosen one and he brings balance by destroying Palpatine. It kind of ruins that when they just bring Palpatine back with this, cloning whole thing they got going on. I felt like it was a lazy storytelling, and it kind of ruined the storyline of episodes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, you know what I'm saying? And so that's really my biggest problem with this film. I don't care for the character Rey, and people call me sexist for that, but it's really not, because she's a woman. I mean, Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters ever, and she's obviously a woman. But it's just she didn't really have much character development at all. Kylo Ren had much more character development than Rey, and Rey the character development was not there. Very poor storytelling as far as Rey's character. Kind of like my biggest problem with The Force Awakens, which I'll get into it in a second, is how she just defeats Kylo Ren with no training whatsoever. Just doesn't make any sense. But that is why I put The Rise of Skywalker at number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have Solo, A Star Wars Story. Solo, for me, I think it was a decent film. It got a lot of hate. I'm not really sure why. I thought it really was a decent film. I thought the directing and the storytelling of it was very good, especially because of all of the unexpected turns the story took, and I really enjoyed that. It was really something that had you on the edge of your seat at the end. At the end of the day, it wasn't like a Star Wars film. There's no lightsaber fighting, nothing of that sort. It's just like a standalone, almost like a Western. So I couldn't really place it that high because of that. But I did definitely enjoy this film. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to go watch it. I'm sure you'll have a fun time watching it. I didn't really have any big problems with the film. It's just the fact that it didn't have a ton of, big star fights or, big battles and stuff that a lot of Star Wars films have. It's just not a, trilogy film, if you know what I mean. So that's why I put Solo at the place where it is. All right, moving on. Next, we have the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace, I think it got a lot of people really dislike the Phantom Menace, which I don't really get why. I understand some of the dialogue can be not very good, but I definitely enjoyed this film a ton. You get to see young Anakin, of course, something we've never seen before until this film. You see Padme and all these characters for the first time in this film. I really enjoyed the battle droid sequences. Like, I really enjoy watching the battle droids in combat and stuff like that. I just love seeing that. I really did enjoy the film. It had a really solid final battle. It has, of course, the battle on Naboo going on, and then you have the battle in space above Naboo, and then you have, of course, the legendary fight with Darth Maul. That's my biggest thing. Darth Maul's in it, and he's like one of my favorite characters ever. And the lightsaber fight between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Darth Maul really carries this film a lot. It's just a fantastic lightsaber duel, which is a big reason why I put it above Attack of the Clones and some of these other films. But yeah, that's why I put the Phantom Menace where it is. Moving on, we have The Force Awakens. I really thought The Force Awakens is definitely the best of the sequel trilogy. It's very much a basic Star Wars film. It very much copied A New Hope very closely, which I don't have too much of a problem with. I mean, I wish they would have taken a little bit more, independent, storytelling. But I really didn't mind the film. I thought it was a very decent film, a very, very decent Star Wars film. My biggest problem is when Rey, with absolutely no training, defeats Kylo Ren. It just doesn't make sense. The fact that she just picks up a lightsaber and defeats someone who's been trained by Palpatine doesn't make any sense. But that's really my biggest problem with the film. I just really Rey's storytelling and lack thereof, if you will, of character development and stuff like that really made this film kind of not as good as it could have been. But definitely it was a decent start to the sequel trilogy. I didn't think it was a terrible film at all. I definitely enjoy watching it. Of course, seeing the graphics for the first time, the first modern era Star Wars film, it definitely looks very, very, very good. And especially with Poe Dameron's character. Poe Dameron is one of my favorite characters from the sequel trilogy. And that whole scene with him flying around, blowing up TIE fighters, it's such a cool scene. The whole Battle of Takodana itself is really cool. So that's why I put The Force Awakens where it is. And then next, after The Force Awakens, we have A New Hope. A New Hope, of course, the first ever Star Wars film. Definitely had to put it somewhere up there as far as put it ahead of these other films. It's, of course, the first time, the graphics, the, CGI isn't incredible, but for its time, the CGI was incredible for its time, at least. And definitely just the beginning of the story, you get to see Luke Skywalker and see him fail but also succeed. You see all these new characters for the first time. Definitely a super solid film. Not a ton of action, but that's to be expected if it's the first film in a trilogy, because, it's just setting up the story. The first ever Star Wars film, it's setting up the story for everything, so that's to be expected. I definitely love the beginning scene where the stormtroopers are storming the Tantive 4 and they just annihilate the rebels. I love to see when they portray stormtroopers like actually just killing everyone, because they are elite soldiers, and I kind of dislike when they're, just missing every shot. It doesn't make sense. But I definitely love that scene. It's a super cool film, of course, and that's why I put it where it is. I had to put it above The Force Awakens because The Force Awakens is just like A New Hope number 2, if you know what I mean. And this one was definitely better than The Force Awakens. Nothing crazy like someone picking up a lightsaber. Luke didn't pick up a lightsaber with no training and defeat Darth Vader. That wouldn't make any sense. But the scene with the Death Star is super cool. The fight scene with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader isn't very good, but, it's from 1777, and, Sir Alec Guinness is probably 70-something years old in this film, so, I don't care for that fight, but it's to be expected from an older film like this. The Death Star fight scene where they're going through the trench trying to blow up the Death Star, for its time, the CGI is impeccable. It's super good CGI, but that's why I put A New Hope in that spot. Here next, I forget which number this is. It's like number 5 or something. As far as my rankings, we have Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was a really, really good film. My biggest problem is probably like the beginning of the film. I don't care for the Jabba's palace scenes, if you know what I mean. I just don't care for that sequence. That's my biggest problem with this film, probably. The fight scene where you see Boba Fett goes into the Sarlacc pit and they're all fighting, that's a super cool scene, but leading up to that, I just don't care for that sequence, and that's just personal preference in all honesty. But definitely a really good film. I always love watching Return of the Jedi. The Battle of Endor is so cool to watch. The Death Star scenes of them trying to blow up the Death Star look so good. They look so good, the CGI, which is surprising for its time how good it was, which really made Star Wars probably stand out to a lot of people, was how good the CGI was for its time. You see Luke Skywalker at the end of his training. His training is completed. He becomes a Jedi. You have, of course, the fight scene between Vader and Luke, which actually looks really good. Compared to the Obi-Wan versus Vader fight, this fight is so much better, and it looks really good. And that's especially because of the storytelling all leading to that point, and the music really makes it one of the best scenes in Star Wars history. It's really good. We see the Ewoks, of course, for the first time in the Battle of Endor. We see the Empire defeated. That end scene where it shows all the planets celebrating is so cool. And yeah, it's, of course, the end of the George Lucas, saga, if you will, the end of the storytelling for George Lucas. I really thought the ending was perfect. Seeing Darth Vader turn to the light side and defeat Palpatine, fulfilling the prophecy of the Chosen One, he brings balance to the Force, is really like the perfect ending you could come up with. That's why I have such a big problem with Episode 9 bringing Palpatine back, is because it kind of ruins that. So for me, the story really ends at Return of the Jedi, because that's the perfect ending to Star Wars. But yeah, it's a super solid film. That's why I put it where it is. Moving on, we have Rogue One. Rogue One, I loved Rogue One so much. I thought it was such a good film. A lot of people didn't care for it, which I didn't understand. I thought Rogue One was such a good film. I love, the CGI is impeccable. The Battle of Scarif looks so good. It's such a beautiful film in that part. There are no lightsaber fights, which is unfortunate, but it doesn't really matter because this film, even without it, is just great. The Vader scene, the epic Vader scene, going through the hallways, killing rebels, just going insane. Probably the most intense Star Wars scene you will ever see, the craziest scene. So, of course, that puts this film up there just because of that scene. I like how you see them make the sacrifice. Like, in the end, all of them die on Scarif. But they actually, they transfer the plans to the rebellion. And even though they all die for their cause, and successfully, because they do get the plans to the rebels. A lot of people are like, I don't like it because it's so sad and they all die. And I'm like, that's the point. That's the point. They die for the cause. It's the whole point of the film, So I really liked that. Pretty much, there's no point in this film where you're bored. Like, there's always stuff going on. It's like the opposite of Attack of the Clones in that sense. Stuff is always happening. Jyn Erso, such a cool character. Really loved her character a lot. Then you have Cassian Andor. He's a really cool character. He's been fighting for the rebellion for many years, since he was 6 years old. He says in the movie, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. So he's a really cool character. So I just loved Rogue One all around. You see the Shore Troopers, of course, for the first time. You see the Death Troopers for the first time. They look absolutely incredible. I love how the Death Troopers, like, they don't miss. They're just murdering everyone. They never miss a shot. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, that's why I put Rogue One where it is. Moving on, we have Empire Strikes Back. We have Empire Strikes Back at the number 2 spot. Empire Strikes Back, a lot of people argue it is the best Star Wars film. I definitely think it is in the top 2. Since I think a lot of people are biased to it. People that were born, like, saw it in theaters. Usually older people are biased to it because they saw it in theaters and stuff like that. But I definitely think it's one of the best Star Wars films out there. Definitely deserves a number 2 spot at least. It's a really hard decision between Empire Strikes Back and Revenge of the Sith. But Empire Strikes Back is really cool because, especially the storytelling with Luke Skywalker. You see Luke Skywalker, and he fights Darth Vader, but he gets defeated. He doesn't win. It's storytelling that I wish would have happened with Rey. Rey never really gets defeated. She just kind of destroys everyone, no matter what, even with no training. And then you have Luke, who even with a little bit of training from Yoda himself still loses to Darth Vader and not even close to defeating him, which I really liked. It really shows, really performs a good storytelling of the hero, where the hero fails a lot before he finally succeeds in Return of the Jedi. So really like that part of the storytelling. The Battle of Hoth, super cool scene, especially considering they use stop motion to make the AT-AT scenes, which is, I used to do stop motions with Lego, and it is really difficult to make something look that fluent, especially from that time. So really sick film. Of course, the Bespin scenes look amazing. Bespin, the planet, looks so good. Really like how that's a very independent thought. Like, the thought to make a city like that is really cool. Shows really how creative George Lucas was. We see Yoda for the first time in this film. Older Yoda, of course, because he is training Luke Skywalker. A lot of the film is the training of Luke Skywalker, really makes his character development so much better. And that's why I put Empire Strikes Back in the position it is. Also, it's one of the films where the bad guy actually wins. Darth Vader does not succeed in turning Luke to the dark side, but he definitely did win the film. The rebels definitely did not win. So I kind of like that. It's kind of like Infinity War, Thanos wins. I kind of like films where the bad guy wins, because usually it's always, the good guy wins in the end. Everything's fine. But in this film, that's not the case, and I kind of like that. Kind of mixes things up. But, yeah. And then, of course, in first, the one, the only, Revenge of the Sith. This film, I know a lot of people would put this film in first. It's definitely, for everyone, I feel like it's either Empire Strikes Back or Revenge of the Sith in first place. Revenge of the Sith, again, notice how it's another film where the bad guy definitely wins. I really love that part. I love when the bad guy wins because it's rare, mixes things up, keeps you on your toes. Of course, the storytelling of Anakin comes to an end. His eventual turn to the dark side and the reasons for it. His love for Padme is used by Chancellor Palpatine to turn him to the dark side. Really love the storytelling with Anakin, as he is my favorite character. You see Anakin in the 501st marching on the Jedi Temple, just destroying everyone. The iconic Order 66 scene where the clones are just murdering every Jedi. I like how it shows how much of a formidable force the clones are. Like, they can really destroy you, even Jedi, if they want to. The Battle of Utapau, super cool scene. The beginning scene of Revenge of the Sith starts with a bang. It's the battle over Coruscant. The absolute scale of this battle is insane. There's really no part in this film where you're going to get bored, trust me. Of course, the fight between Yoda and Palpatine, such a cool fight scene. I mean, the fights in this film are crazy good. Especially the fight with Obi-Wan and Anakin, I think, is the best choreographed lightsaber battle ever in Star Wars. I mean, they're just so fluent and so fast, it's crazy. It's even better than the Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn fight, if you ask me, because they're just moving so fast. You see Anakin turn all the way into Darth Vader. Luke and Leia are born, of course. Yeah, I just love this film all around. It's so good. Just the storytelling all the way around. The lightsaber fights are insane. The battles in general in the sky, you know, the battle over Coruscant, the battle of Utapau, all of that looks incredible. And, of course, Obi-Wan's fight with General Grievous, where we have the iconic, you know, hello there, General Kenobi. You know, that whole scene. Super cool. Just everything around this film is fantastic. But, yeah, that's why I put Revenge of the Sith at number 1. And, yeah, that will conclude this video. For those who don't know, I actually made a video like this on my old channel. Only the OGs will remember that one. But I thought I would do it on this channel because I'm sure a lot of people on this channel have not seen that video. Thought I'd mix it up a little bit with the content, and I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Remember, Palpatine kill streak, 164 kill streak without dying. It's my most insane video I've ever made, and that's not clickbait. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.